of Zen 5 is a kind of from the ground up design. While we're going to certainly see some of the inspiration from older Zen processors still be in play here, after all, it's not like, these CPUs are going to run on turnip juice or something like that. Ultimately, AMD will be shaking things up considerably. Strix Point is an APU based on Zen 5, which is also, of course, going to be produced on TSMC's 3nm process. And according to what MoPC, which I'll link in the video description, are stating, Zen 5 is going to be utilizing a big little design, which is technically not the right verbiage. It should actually be heterogeneous for its architecture, but I think at this point, big little are so prevalent in just, people's understanding. A lot of people are calling it big little or, big small or whatever term you want to use, even though, again, it technically should be heterogeneous. But getting back to my point, I suppose, so this is going to feature 8 larger cores and 4 smaller ones for its APU, along, of course, with an RDNA class IP GPU. AMD, well, there's already been leaks that CPUs in the future from AMD will actually feature a small iGPU, again, based on RDNA. So this does make sense that we'll see a kind of similar approach for an APU. But the question is, of course, how will this affect desktop? After all, this is, again, an APU, so it could simply be for laptops only, and we won't see this design make its way through to desktop. It's not 100% clear yet. Also, another note is that this website is stating that Warhol is cancelled. And again, I put out my information a few days ago that
Так. Error Group Employee. Так, ну я примерно представляю, куда мне идти. За этой обложкой.
Лифты в секторе О введены в строй. Внимание! Охране комплекса просьба проследовать в сектор G.
Ну чё, все, хана ему!
I was doing some that by other players. So we're going to start at the far south side of the map. Here we see our bearing. We're on the south side by the river, on the west half.
Вон он, сука! окоп, нахуй, понял? Вон он, вон он! Сейчас.
Of the map. I love the compass. Thank you, Nikita. Okay, so our first spot, just next to the road right here, we've got this rock that you usually see noobs sniping on, but it is in fact a grand spot. Find Sherman if he does not happen to be crouched. If he's crouched, he will be hidden behind the log pile, but you can see his poke right here. He does pivot quite a bit, so you can just snipe him in the head. And it's a nice view with the 14x scope. Moving up the hill towards the north, we see a tree that has really bad textures on the northwest side. And from here, we'll be able to go up onto this ridge, thread the needle between two trees, if I can find the trees. This ridge. Right here, thread the needle between these two trees, and you will see Sherman right there, being AFK, pretty much. Moving on up to the north even further, we're going to be heading towards Spine Rock. There may be locations closer to Sherman that you can get a snipe on him from, but I'm fairly certain, I haven't tested it yet, that you need to be using the 14x sight. The wiki says you have to, but, you know, if you aren't sure about something, go into an offline mode raid and test it out to see if it's true. You might be able to use the PK, like the sight on top of the sight, but you might have to be using the actual sight. So much guesswork when using a red dot. There we go. So you can, in fact, complete a hunting trip without using the correct scope, so long as it is on your M700. Okay, so right below Spine, you see the autumn tree and the slightly autumn tree. You see this tree just sitting here all alone, like slightly down the ridge towards the camp, sitting at this tree, looking right about here. If we zoom in, you'll see that there's a tree in the way, but Sherman is in fact right here at the edge of this log camp. He moves slightly to the left or the right, look at an angle on him. If he's laying down, crouched, you won't be able to see him because this log pile will be in the way. But he is right here looking to the left, still AFK. Heading on up onto Spine, we're not going to get any good angles unless we are very high up on Spine. So any low points that you think that you can snipe him from, there are trees in the way. So our first angle, we can parkour. First angle will be up here on the very top on the left side of this little ridge. We can lay down for more stability, looking at this tree. You can zoom in, and you can see him through the tree, looking to the left. There's his gun, and there's his hood. A good landmark to find where he is you have the red building here, the middle red building, and the silver building. Then you've got a log pile. So if you zoom in on this log pile and just go to the right, you'll see a second log pile. Go to the right a little further. There's Sherman right by a tire. Moving on to the next spot. Again, we can't see him from any of these low points. You might be able to see him through the trees, but very doubtful. Moving on up, you can get on top of this section. You can, in fact, just get a glimpse of him through the trees. He's very difficult to see, though. But we can jump on over to this section. You might need to get on top of this rock. You do need to be on top of this rock. On top of this rock, right about here, crouch, look at this tree. Look at the tire landmark, and he's right behind this tree. So if we can get a little bit further to the right, spot his legs right here. This is where he's standing. Okay, moving on over. This part is hard to get up onto, but if you go down on the backside, where the tent is, head further up, get to this part right here that you can't walk up, you can go around, walk right up. And then looking up, right at this ledge right here, you can walk up and jump. Run and jump. Walk and jump. You'll glide a little bit up, and then you can jump again. From here, jump onto this section, and on this little flat part, ADS here, you see a glory.
что за попадание было? Не вовремя я лег. Как раз голову подставил под выстрел. Очень плохие патроны, но, к сожалению, у меня не было бейсбола включенного. Я из-за этого огреб. Блин, ладно, мне лениво на самом деле этим сейчас заниматься. Займусь потом. Что там так долго продается? Топливо. Забайтился. Ладно, пойду я отдыхать. Архив потом закончу.